But it's our most read
listen,
story at the
Stephen,
moment,
I'm
John.
slightly disappointed about this. I'm not
It is
gonna lie.
our most read story on our website. If you want to visit the website, folks, at movieburnerentertainment.org, which is great. The Marvels suffer historic box office lows in North America and China, raising alarms on superhero fatigue amongst audiences. Now, that's debatable, but we'll get into that in a moment, John. So I'm just going to read your facts and figures on this, just similar to what we did, obviously, with Tiger 3, with the box office information. So the lacklustre debut of the Marvels at the North American box office, merely grossing $47 million, a record low for a Marvel studio release, has deepened analysis concerns regarding superhero fatigue. A growing issue for major studios, the film faced a parallel disappointment in China, where audiences have long overlooked American superhero tales. The Marvels opened to a mere $11.5 million in China, trailing behind the local crime thriller Who's the Suspect, which raked in $11.7 million over the weekend, extending to $11.8 million with Thursday night previews, as per Artisan Gateway's data. The trend of underperformance of the MCU releases in China date back to the pandemic period. However, the Marvel stands out as a significant stumble. For instance, Captain Marvel, helmed by Brie Larson, began its run in 2019 with a robust $89.3 million opening and ultimately secured a solid $154 million in China. In contrast, projections indicate that the Marvels may struggle to surpass $20 million in total earnings. This decline in MCU's success extends to other 2023 releases in China. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 by James Gunn, despite achieving a commendable $359 million in North America, only managed $27.8 million in China. Similarly, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania saw a substantial drop to $39.4 million compared to its predecessor, $121 million. In 2018, the overall trend of fading US studio franchises in China affects superhero films more severely than other action genres, while other genres like the Fast series and Transformers continue to draw substantial audiences. Their more recent installments have shown a decline compared to earlier releases in China. Contrastingly, original productions such as Oppenheimer and Barbie have fared notably better. Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer earned $62 million, marking a substantial success for an extended English language historical drama in China. Meanwhile, Barbie, despite a slow start due to a lack of familiarity in the market, saw a considerable uplift to $35.2 million, primarily due to positive word of mouth among cosmopolitan Chinese women. Wow, John, that's very detailed. You do your research. In this landscape, local productions like Who's the Suspect, directed by Zhang Mo and produced by Beijing
Chinese
Dino Films, have notably excelled. The film, starring Zhang Ziofei, tells a story of a lawyer compelled to defend a death row suspect after her daughter is kidnapped. Chinese ticketing app My Own forecasts a substantial run for the film, approximately a total of about $71 million. This complex scenario in China signifies a changing shift in audiences' preferences, where local and original productions, along with certain established international franchises, seem to resonate more effectively than recent superhero releases. John, now they can pin this on the pandemic all they want. I think it's all to do with timing as well, and timing of certain characters and actors checking out of the MCU at the same time. Obviously a saga concluding and then having to rebuild on that as well. But those figures, when you look at the original Ant-Man film in comparison to the latest one, the latest the original Captain Marvel film in comparison to the sequel, it's such a massive drop off, isn't it?
That is like the trash compactor, Star Wars: A New Hope, or the fucking animal that hand kills. Well, he doesn't kill, he cuts it open after it drops dead in the off. I thought they smelled bad on the outside. That's my dog. Yeah, Stephen, this has nothing to do with the pandemic. It just isn't. Initially, it could have been a drag in terms of performances getting back to where they were pre-pandemic. In China, it's always been an issue, Stephen. The movies have never performed. These sort of smaller sub-franchise movies. And look, as much as you want to bum Captain Marvel up, she is a smaller sub-franchise movie. She ain't Captain America. She's not Thor. She's not Hulk. She's not Iron Man. She just isn't. She's not Spider-Man. Nowhere fucking near it. No other Marvel character is anywhere near Spider-Man.
Hey,
Spider-Man
Peter
is
Parker.
up here, and
Got
the rest
something
are
for
all
me?
way down there. What's that?
Hey, Peter Parker, you got something for me?
That's
Fucking
Captain Marvel.
Spider-Man. Yeah.
That's Captain Marvel. That's what she's saying to Tom Holland. You got something for me? Tom is single-handedly keeping that Marvel box office at a respectable level in the last 2 years, thanks to No Way Home. Every other one has not been on the level. It just hasn't. And it's nothing to do with the pandemic, Stephen. It simply isn't. In China, it's always been an issue. They restrict the movies. The movies have to be edited down at sometimes.
Yeah.
Can't even say that word. I never can. I don't know what it is about edited. They have to be edited down. There is different versions released there. Maybe something rubs them up the wrong way. So, and you've just got the fact as well that the Chinese audience don't have the historical connection to the comic book stories that we do in the West.
Yeah.
They just don't. And I know for a fact the MCU movies do brilliant in India. They're well received in India. And the theatre audiences absolutely adore them in India. So it's not like it's just an international market problem. But in China, they are kind of disconnected in that regard. They are a communist country and they don't really acquiesce as well with the West as, say, India or other countries. And that's also a bit of a problem when it comes to films and content and having that connection, that emotional attachment to characters.
John, for Captain Marvel's original film, performed a lot better.
Did it say that though? Was that not the success in North America that I was alluding to?
No, 154 million.
Oh well, then I'm talking fucking nonsense. Then
No,
aren't I?
but no,
I thought that was
think-
North America comparative to China. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. I mean, despite achieving commendable $350 million in North America, only managed 27 million in China. Ant-Man's drop comparative. Ant-Man's a different fucking ballgame, Stephen. It's Paul Rudd. Paul
weird
Rudd's
though,
loved
John.
universally.
When you look at this particular phase in the MCU, it is worrying to the extent that you can only speak from personal sort of experience. And when we talked about our favourite sort of standalone characters, or smaller characters, if you like, in terms of releases, we both loved the Doctor Strange original film. We both loved the first Ant-Man film. John, have you watched Quantumania yet?
No, I've not.
I've watched half of it and I just gave up on it. I just went, I can't even watch this. I just get no interest in it
Stephen, I
whatsoever.
watched the trailers and it was just all CGI, and I'm like, they've lost connection with this character.
Yeah.
That character was never about CGI fest, big blockbuster ensemble sort of stuff. What made Ant-Man so
And Doctor Strange as well.
endearing? Yeah, Doctor Strange to a degree, but he's fucking travelling through
But that
multiple
first
universes.
movie
and
was
whatnot.
superb, wasn't it?
It was, Stephen, but it was more grounded.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. The first one was grounded. It was about this brilliant neurosurgeon who loses his way, and it's a sort of self-gratifying journey he goes on to try and get back his hands and get back to his profession in his old life. And then he finds this path of righteousness, if you like, by the end. But it was more grounded, human, and its scale, the story. Ant-Man has always been more grounded and human in scale. Obviously, he's gone even smaller than human scale. He's gone down to fucking ant scale.
Yeah.
See what I did there? Dreadful. It's like dreadful.
Pretty neat, huh?
Dreadful batter from me. But jokes aside, Stephen, you go from fucking Endgame into, I think, Ant-Man and the Wasp. The other one, the previous one, Ant-Man and the Wasp, that's what it was called.
Yeah.
Before they made that the name of the franchise. And you went from universal scale threat down to this guy with a briefcase.
Yeah.
This guy coming up against someone who's coming in out the quantum realm, and a little wisecracking FBI agent who's trying to harass him into staying under house arrest. Very human scale, street level sort of villainry going on in those movies. Then all of a sudden in the third movie, out of nowhere, bang, he's coming up against a fucking existential threat in Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah.
And he's trapped in this quantum realm. Now I understand I've not seen the movie, so I may be talking nonsense. You have though.
I've seen half
But
of
they
it.
do
John.
blend it all. You've got Michelle Pfeiffer's Hope Van Dyne. Janet Van Dyne. Hope Van Dyne.
Yeah.
Janet.
Hope's
Hope's
the daughter, yeah.
Yeah, Evangelina Lilly. You've got Janet Van Dyne and her connection, her journey in the quantum realm. That's the sort of connective tissue to that story. But it just feels like they've rushed it.
Yeah.
They've expanded. They've absolutely thrown Scott Lang into this awkward fish out of water sort of environment in this third movie. It's totally different to the previous two movies.
Yeah.
They've not earned it. And this is what I said the other day. They're just not doing the fundamentals correct. They're not making good singular stories and then worrying about connecting in the post-credits or doing something else. They're just that caught up in making everything work, rushing into the Avengers movies, that they're forgetting what made the Marvel Universe what it was back 10 years ago. It was great, interesting stories, interesting characters that the audience bonded with over a decade. Now we've got all these characters coming in. Monica Rambeau, only seen in WandaVision, pops into this movie. Miss Marvel, own TV show. What about the people who have not seen her or not seen the TV show? Kevin Feige and Marvel don't give a fuck anymore. They just don't. You have to watch it to stay in the loop. If you're not watching it, you're coming into this. The only character that's notable is Carol Danvers.
Yeah.
And look, I don't mind Brie Larson, but she is Marmite. Some people don't like her. So the movie was arguably up against it right from the get-go. One really noteworthy character outside of Nick Fury, and even then the whole secret invasion nonsense, fucking not interesting. One noteworthy character, and the other two were in TV shows.
Yeah.
So they're just not doing the fundamentals correctly, and this is what is happening when you don't do the fundamentals correctly. You get bit in the arse with it. Now you look there at the performance, 62%. It's not really shifted. The audience are a bit better. But it's not like bygone era where you were getting 90+% ratings. Captain America, Iron Man. You were getting these high rated movies across the board, and the box office was incredible.
Yeah.
$109 million worldwide. Through how many days? When did this come out? 10th of November. It's not bad, is it? It's not horrendous, but it's not Marvel numbers. They'd normally do that in one day. Yeah. It's probably going to get 400 million or something, 450, if the legs are there. But then you're talking, you're into Christmas. What's coming out in Christmas? Lots of movies. Wonka.
Yeah, exactly.
Lots of movies coming out. So I'm not in a good place, Stephen.
John,
I'm not in a good place.
Obviously, the film dropped for a select few that we watch on YouTube, Jeremy Jans and Christian Harloff, etc. And they all had the same opinion that, you know, I think the chemistry between the three main leads was fine. There was nothing wrong with the chemistry or anything.
I got that in the trailer.
It was just the story. It just wasn't interesting enough. It just kind of didn't know what it wanted to be, you know, to put it mildly. And I think that's, we talked about word of mouth in our last topic, John. It's similar. It's word of mouth. Once people know that there's not a story there, it's going to put them off going. Certainly, if I was interested in this, then I watch those reviews. I don't normally, I'm influenced. But when it comes to people like Jans and people like Harloff that know what they're talking about, because they'll give you an honest opinion on every film that they watch. They're not shills like some people claim.
I get called a shill the other day. I laughed at that. A shill.
Yeah. Was this for the Snow White thing?
Am I getting paid money by Disney? Someone wants to tell me then. I look at my bank account. I could be doing if Disney paid me money because I'm not a backward racist. And look, I'll double down on what I says. But John, there is huge elements out there on the internet and in the world who are incredibly backward in their world views. Incredibly backward. And people coming into your comment section and saying, oh, it's because she hates the character, she hates the film. No, it's because she's of Latino background, ethnicity. Well, she's half Polish as well. If she was Swedish and whiter than white, there wouldn't be any issues. Even if she was coming out criticising the movie, it's because of her ethnicity.
Yeah.
And people don't like it.
John, yeah, exactly. Just listen, we'll get the views on that. It helps the algorithm with them all arguing amongst themselves in the comment section. So keep it going, guys.
They're just having pops at me. I don't give a fuck. Yeah. Water off a duck's back.
Word of mouth though, John, it's important. It does have an effect on a film, whether it's a positive or a negative.
Yeah.
Thor: Love and Thunder, still not seen it. No intention of seeing it.
I did watch it and it was terrible for me. I know Mike, who comes in from time to time, actually liked Thor: Love and Thunder. I wish I could have, because I love the Thor character. I like the Jane character. I love Taika Waititi. But it just didn't work for me. And Christian Bale is
John. I think there is fatigue. I think it's not just, obviously, I was going to say word of mouth is a big part of it. Another thing is fatigue. It is. Mm-hmm. I've not even got around to seeing Loki yet, and I loved
Loki
that
too.
first season. Loved it. And I love the character. I love the actor. But I just haven't got the energy to watch it just now.
I was going to ask you, Stephen, when were you last in a theatre to watch a Marvel movie? And I have to crunch the numbers here and find out when Shang-Chi came out and when No Way Home came out.
It would have been No Way Home, December 21.
December 2021. I think I seen Shang-Chi after that, to be fair.
Yeah.
Shang-Chi came out when?
I thought Shang-Chi was before that.
I think it came out after, did it not? No, you're right. It did come out before.
Yeah.
No Way Home. That was the last time I seen a Marvel movie in the theatres.
And
Nearly 2 years.
since then, we've had Ant-Man, Quantumania, we've had Thor, we've had Guardians of the Galaxy, which I loved Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Yeah, it was very, very good. I regretted not seeing that in the theatres. That was outstanding.
Obviously, the Marvels has just dropped. And then you've got obviously the TV stuff that you were just talking about there. Obviously, Ms. Marvel, etc., which you need to watch to an extent to really.
I've heard Ms. Marvel's decent. To be fair, I have heard it's decent. And
most
the
of the
characters
Disney Plus
likeable.
stuff is decent. It is decent, but you're asking your audience to invest a lot of time, week upon week, to find out. Now, I loved WandaVision, but for some reason, the WandaVision iteration of Wanda Maximoff did not work in Doctor Strange 2.
No.
Cinematically, it was mental. It was just
it's a character we've been following for years. Yeah. She's a likeable character.
Yeah.
We've followed her through this journey. Now she's playing a villain. So what are we doing here? I don't want to.
And Doctor Strange is a bit part in his own film, you know?
Yeah.
Which is just daft. I just think some of the decisions over the last 2-3 years have been really bad. I think the Eternals.
Mm-hmm. I've not seen Eternals.
You've not seen that. I mean, exactly. Shang-Chi you loved. I thought it was okay.
I really did like Shang-Chi.
I thought it wasn't a bad film, John. From on my part, I enjoyed watching it, but I just
liked
think
the villain story.
Great.
I thought it was, and the blending of the sort of East Asian culture into the MCU. I thought it was really cool. They spoke about Shang-Chi being like almost like Captain America, Steve Rogers, if sort of fish out of water again. I'm using that phrase. Man out of sync with sort of, I don't know, because it didn't really work like that because he wasn't in America in that movie. He was in China, and in some make-believe world he goes there, doesn't he, at the end? I don't actually know where that was. Even now, was it Under the World? I can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen Shang-Chi, but I did like it a lot.
A few years, yeah.
And the father character was a compelling villain for me. Simu Liu is a very likeable, charismatic guy. We need more characters like that moving forward.
If
more
these
memorable characters
are still performing like this, John, when did they draw a line under the MCU? When did they say we need to stop? We need to, we really need to regroup. We need to think what is next. Phase 5, Phase 6, Phase 7, Phase 8. As all these characters are all dying off. It doesn't make any sense. And I said this back in Phase 2 or 3, John. I said, where's the end game and all this? Because these actors can't do this forever. They'll not want to do it forever.
It's getting to the point, Stephen, I don't even want them to release a Fantastic Four movie in this era. I want them to wait until after the Avengers movies.
And X-Men as well. Yeah.
And X-Men. Cut it clean.
And I think this whole multiverse thing is been a sort of way of trying to get around that issue of we can have another Iron Man, we can have another Thor. When these actors retire, we'll just make them come from a different. People connect with these characters and they don't really want to see within that same world in a continuation a different actor playing that character you loved. It doesn't work. They're going to do it as shits and giggles with Tom Cruise coming in to play Tony Stark, and I'm like, why? Why do that? It's nothing to do with Tom Cruise, John. I know that, I'm not the biggest fan of Tom Cruise, but I'm just like, what is the fucking point of that? He did it with Patrick Stewart, bringing him in back as Professor X, and I just didn't like it.
Bringing John Krasinski in as Mr. Fantastic.
It can annoy the audience when they do that as well. It's not the same as No Way Home. It's just not the way that was handled was great, but you can't keep going back to doing that.
Yeah, because they had an actual pointed and tangible impact on a character who we've went through a journey with, i.e. Tom Holland's Peter Parker.
He could only connect and understand what they've been through.
And through that, he's now able to go out and step on his own 2 feet and become a man.
Yeah.
Putting the man in the Spider-Man. Hopefully we get more Tom Holland Spider-Man movies.
Well, this is the whole thing, will we? Yeah.
Well, this is it, Steve. I'm contradicting myself because I'm saying a clean slate, but then you can't continue with Tom Holland. We can over on the Sonyverse.
Yeah, well,
but I don't think it's called superhero fatigue. Because superhero fatigue did not exist 10 years ago, 5 years ago, when they were making outstanding movies again and again and again and again, and it all had meaning, and all of the things connected beautifully, and they were just on their game. Every single level of the Marvel Disney machine was on it. Didn't exist then because we're putting out good content time and again. I just think there's too much content now, Stephen, and it's not of the requisite sort of standard.
Yeah,
Plain and simple.
Be, yeah.
Way too much stuff to watch, and you're expecting too much of people.
Well, in a sense, that is fatigue, John. I think
That is, to be fair. I'm contradicting
I
myself.
don't know, but in terms
it's
of
just
obviously
the main crux is
the genre,
yeah.
I don't think it's fatigue. I think, as you said, it's just too much. It's too much too soon.
I think
Too
the
much
biggest
coming out.
issue is the quality and dipping.
Yeah.
The stories are not there, and the characters are not as good. You've lost Steve Rogers, you've lost Tony Stark, you've lost the heartbeat of what made the Marvel Cinematic Universe so good. You've lost Natasha Romanoff.
They never knew how to handle Hulk from the start.
No.
They just didn't know what to do with that character.
So you're left with a huge void.
Yeah.
And no harm to Tony Mackie. I love the guy.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that Captain America movie. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with it. But you've just got a void, man. You need to. Yeah, you can't lose characters of that calibre and not replace them, or replace them with ones we've seen in TV shows who are of a lower standing. We've not got 10 years to build them up again.
No.
You need to hit the ground running and keep going. That's what winners do.
Do you think perhaps, John, it might have been a good idea after Endgame to just leave it? I know obviously the money side of things, they can't do that because they've got money to make.
But they've made sense, Stephen.
And obviously would mean you couldn't have actors commit to anything after Endgame either. Mm-hmm. What would have happened to them? It's really, how can you sort of cut ties with everything after one film? I don't know how they would do it. I don't really know the solution. I don't think they know either. I don't think they know the end game of this franchise, what they're going to do.
I think they just thought it would continue, Steve.
Yeah.
The success, the brilliant content, and it just hasn't. It's dipped.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, and we've seen Bob Iger speaking about it. He's sleepless nights worrying about the flops. Not
John,
flops, but the box office performances.
We're a couple of Joe blogs on the internet, and we were talking about this 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Where are they going to go with this? How are they going to maintain the quality that they've produced over the first 3 phases? They can't maintain that, surely, because you're dealing with different actors, Stephen. Different characters. Yeah, the casting.
The casting was bang on. Yeah. And I don't want to shit on Jonathan Majors because I don't know the ins and outs of his personal struggles.
And the directors have been fantastic
They
as well,
make
John.
mistakes like that.
Every director that's been in the MCU have been really good. They have been really
good. And Nia DaCosta, who's involved in the Marvels, is a good director.
Yeah.
And I respect her for telling a story under 2 hours.
Yeah.
I respect it, and I hope the movie's actually decent.
Yeah.
The audience score does actually suggest it's a not bad movie. But it's just, I don't know, man. They're putting too much content out. And I spoke about it, Stephen, on the show the other day. We've seen this with Star Wars. When 1 or 2 movies don't hit, 1 or 2 TV shows don't hit, the other ones get burnt because of it.
Yeah.
We've seen it with Andor, an incredible Star Wars TV show, some of the best Star Wars content since the original movies in the 70s and 80s. But people weren't watching it initially because they were put off with Book of Boba Fett. They were put off with an underwhelming, maybe Mandalorian Season 3 was after.
Yeah.
But they were put off with the Star Wars content not being of a standard they think.
Well, I think Mando 3 had a knock-on effect with Ahsoka. I think a lot of people had reservations with the pacing of Ahsoka as well because of the knock-on effect of Mando 3.
So it comes down to momentum.
Yeah, it does.
When everything's great, the momentum's with you. It's easy.
Yeah.
The minute you hit a roadblock, it's hard to get back on it.
They kept it simple back then, John. They kept it to 4 major players in Captain America, Iron Man, Thor and Hulk. And then you had the sort of Hawkeyes and Natasha Romanoff's sort of secondary characters. They didn't have Disney Plus releases. It was just 1 film per year.
Yeah.
Maybe 2.
Then it went to 2, then it went to 3.
Yeah, and it just became saturated,
That's another thing. Who's going to lead the Avengers? Who's the leader of the Avengers?
John,
it's not going to be Doctor Strange because he's not an Avenger.
No, I think...
Does Tom Holland even get a picture deal to play Spider-Man?
In an ideal world, Kevin Feige and MCU would love to see Brie Larson as Captain Marvel, that person. They would, let's be honest, they would. But it's not going to happen because she's not resonating with the audience, the actor and the character.
It's not that kind of character either, Stephen. No. She's not a leader for me. quite
I
up
don't
herself.
think.
The character I'm
she's an
talking about.
Academy Award winner, Brie
Yeah,
Larson,
no, I'm
isn't
talking
she?
about, yeah,
in
I'm talking
terms
about
of
the character, though.
her capabilities of acting, but
Yeah.
there's just something I don't think the audience are really connecting with the actor or the character.
I don't know who can lead the Avengers. It's got to be
And-
Spider-Man.
Well, it would have been John if Sony didn't. That just puts more power to Sony, though. That's the issue. If you're relying on Spider-Man to carry a franchise in another studio, Sony will be like, well, we want more money for that.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. So I don't know what the future entails for Marvel. It's had a right good run. I tend to agree with you, Stephen, that it could have had a bit of a break after Endgame. They took a 2-3 year gap, hiatus if you like, and then come back at it, reinvigorated the content and the story would have
days.
been there.
1977, 1980, 1983.
Yeah.
Star Wars trilogy.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
It gives you a chance to tell a coherent story. They had it blueprinted out years in advance. The first sort of Infinity Saga. There was talk of the last two Avengers movies, Infinity War and Endgame, being in a sort of rough cut years in advance.
Yeah.
They knew where the characters were going. They knew where the story was going in the main. And they had a sort of assembly cut of it years in advance.
Yeah.
Now it just feels like they're reactionary. They're going all over the place. And they don't really have a clue
Yeah, I
what
think
to
they're
do.
a bit hung up on how well but Infinity War and Endgame were received, and it's like, how do we top that? You don't have to top it. You just take a step back, regroup, and then come back in a couple of years and tell another story. You know, and do it at a good pace. Don't.
Stephen, what do you do when you've got a character like Thanos as well? Let's be honest, I don't envy them.
No.
I do feel sorry for
It
them.
was the same, John, when the Star Wars prequel trilogy was announced. I was like, you don't have Vader, you don't have Emperor. How are you going to beat this? You're not going to be able to top this.
And you already
But
know the
somehow
backstory or how it
Palpatine
ends.
returned.
Oh, no. Oh, you're talking about the sequels?
Somehow, yeah. That's
I
what,
thought you meant
know,
the prequels.
No, the prequels are fine,
Yeah.
John. They were all part of that story. They were just the backstory of what we already knew, and it played out okay. The story was fine. It's just dialogue and
Stephen, it's like
direction,
football
etc.
terms. In football terms, it's like Man United after Sir Alex Ferguson leaves. What the fuck do you do?
Yeah.
Where do you go? And look where Man United are just now. And I'm not even a Man United fan.
No, but you understand. It's
an
in Arsenal
absolute
as well.
disgrace.
When Arsene Wenger.
Yeah, the stadium
you could
killed
say,
them,
yeah.
Stephen.
Yeah.
But United, man, are just fucking totally unacceptable where that club is just now. This is what it's like.
It's a
Post
good example,
Thanos
yeah.
and post
Good
Captain
comparison.
America and Tony Stark. Where
Yeah.
the fuck do you go?